Hi, my name's Tad, and welcome to the Nerdery. Today we're going to talk about Sketchup. Sketchup is a 3D design program that you can download from Sketchup.com for personal use. You would have to pay for a license if you need it for commercial use. What I'm going to do today is just show you some of the basic tools that can be done, and I'm going to make a little table. And in the process of making that table, you'll see some tools that I use and how I use them. The first tool I'm going to use is the rectangle tool. Now I'm just gonna click on the origin. I'm gonna drag up, and notice my mouse is not clicked down anymore. You don't click and drag. You just click, and then you can move it back and forth. Get in the general direction and shape that you want, and then you can actually type in your measurements. So you don't have to necessarily eye it, you can just type them in. So let's say I want to make a rectangle right here that is 2 feet by 3 feet. I will type 2 by 3 using an apostrophe to indicate feet and a comma to separate the dimensions. And then there it is, right there. So that was just an example, so I'm actually going to undo that. And I'm going to eye it out. Okay. Alright, there we go. So we have ourselves a rectangle right there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this man. Next I will use the push-pull tool. Over here, I will click that, and then I can drag this out as I see fit, or as I want. So, then I can use the orbit tool to rotate to the bottom of the pool, the little block I have here. Now what's interesting is we're actually going to think subtractively instead of additively at this point. You know, rather than creating the tabletop and then adding the legs, I'm actually going to subtract the body from this table, leaving the legs in place. So, the way I'll do that is I will use the rectangle tool again. I will pull out a reasonable size, and so since it'll be easier if I use numbers, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pull out a reasonable size, pull it in the direction that I want it to be, and then if I type in 7 by 7, it will make that 7 inches by 7 inches. So now I want that on all of them, so I'm going to do the same thing. So all 4 legs will be the same size and shape. Alright, now here is where it gets really cool. Like remember I said we were going to think subtractively. So now if I rotate with the orbit tool just a little bit, I'm going to use the push-pull tool again. I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag up. Alright, so as you can see, you have a little bit of a table here, which is pretty cool, but we have more. So, that did create some things, but let's now make it even cooler. So, we've used the push-pull tool, we've used the rectangular tool, and we've used the orbit tool, which allows us to move the camera around. Now, I'm going to use the offset tool, which offsets selected edges in a plane. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click in the middle of this section, I'm going to drag out so that it's a little bigger, and then I'm going to hit 2. Now that makes it 2 inches. So now, if I rotate down below, you'll see that we have a flat tabletop that's hanging over 2 inches over the border of the table. So, what we want to do now is click on the center, drag up a little bit, and then I'm going to hit 2 so that it goes 2 inches up as well. And then I'm going to do the same thing to this outside border. So now, if I am using the orbit tool, you see you have some thickness to that table. And then I'm going to use the offset tool on this edge right here, but instead of expanding it past the table, I'm going to expand it in, and I'm going to do the same amount, 2 inches. Alright, so then I can use the push-pull tool to push it up, and thus give my table a skirt-like view. So it has the table skirt, so just like a normal table. Now there's other things you can do to this table. You could add a shelf to the bottom of it by adding another plane and then pushing and pulling around until you do it. You could make it look differently by using the materials on the right hand side. But let's go ahead and add that last thing across the bottom here. I'm going to use the midpoint and I'm going to pull across to here. Alright, so I don't want that top half, so I'm going to click on it and delete. Okay, so when I rotate back in this direction, I'm going to use the pull tool to pull across to here, and then I am going to rotate again. So I'm underneath the table. I will use the push-pull tool again. I will click and I will push up. Now, I have not been using measurements on all these. I've been eyeing it. You could use measurements if you wanted, and that would give you a more exact, an appropriate design. But here you go. You essentially have a coffee table with an undershelf underneath it that we've made in just a few minutes here. Now, like I said, SketchUp is free at sketchup.com for personal use. So check it out. Your kids might like it. You might like it. Let me know if there's something you want me to try to specifically build so I can show you how and walk you through some more tools. I am by no means an expert on SketchUp, but I do like messing around with it. So like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and until next time, it's been the Nerddery.